Hey guys, we have another exciting game here. The real turning point of this game was we had a big reversal where white invaded here on the side and black tried to attack, but in fact ended up getting attacked himself. So right here at this point we have a situation where black's group seems to be totally sealed in here, but white also has these two groups to worry about, and black has these cutting stones here. So black needs to find some way to capture one of these two groups, either either of the triangled groups here, and that is the only way that black is going to survive. So in the game, black jumped out like this, but after white took the black stone here, because of course if white instead just jumps out, then black can capture. But we needed a move that was sente against both groups, and once white protects here, black doesn't really have any way of following up. And so just like this, the black group ended up dying, and that was the game. But what if instead at that point, black jumps out not that way, but like this? So it can be kind of frustrating because these moves are just so close to each other. They're only a 1-point jump away. But I believe that this is the only move that will successfully threaten both, there we go, A and B, both of these groups. So if we can take a look why, so if, actually I guess this one is easier, so if white tries to save this bottom group, then it's very easy for black to force a capture on these 4 stones and escape that way. So we can see that white definitely needs to save these stones at the top. So what if white does save the stones this way? How can black capture these stones down here? So if black can just turn here, white has no choice but to push, black blocks, and it looks like black has a lot of cutting points like A, B, and after this push here at C, but white is very short on liberties. After white pushes through, white will only have 2 liberties. So after this Atari, and this Atari here, it looks like white will be able to do something, but there just is simply no time, because at this point, black will just Atari here, and white doesn't have a chance to capture either of these groups. So I believe black could have escaped with this move here. But let's see how we got to this situation. So let's go back a bit. We have this. A lot of kicks. So black decided not to follow up. So the normal move would just be this 1-point jump here. Maybe white would play something like this, and then black could get another approach. So black will probably get sente from this exchange. So I think black might as well continue playing it. I don't see an urgent need to tanuki to the top left, since this is just a normal corner, and here we have an unfinished joseki, so I would definitely follow up here. And of course, if white tanukis right away, then black has a very strong attack on these white stones, like that, or even right here. So black can very severely attack these white stones, so it'll be hard for white to tanuki. But instead, black approached here in the upper left. So in the game, white responded with a kick of his own, but what if white instead tries to follow up in the upper right? I think that would be a good idea because we have this very urgent situation where black didn't add an extra move. So what do you think white's follow-up move is? So we want to start with this attachment. If we play anything else, like, I don't know, here, then black will sort of get off too easy here, and we won't really have punished black for tanukiing away. So we want to try something a little bit more severe, like this attachment. So black's going to Hane, and then we have sort of 2 choices here. So the simplest one is just to extend. Black will extend. We definitely want to get this forcing move in here, because if we don't, then black will get it, and this will help black shape more than white shape, because then there will be this awkward cutting point, even if white allows one more time. So we can force this, and black will probably end up jumping out. So this is okay. White's done this in sente and has gotten very thick on the outside, but black still has a pretty big corner here. So this is okay for white, and if you feel more comfortable, you can totally play this way. But I think the best move is actually going to be this double Hane here. This might look a little dangerous, but it's actually not so easy for black to handle. So the worst thing black can do is just this Atari, these two Ataris here. Because like this, white will end up taking the entire corner and can maybe even go one more time, like this. And so white will take a huge, huge corner, and black won't even have good shape on the outside. So although it may look tempting to cut and capture here, it's not so good for black. Instead, black's going to want to think about Atarying this way. White will connect, and then black will connect. And I think at first glance, this might not look so good for white, because white is separated into A and B. But we'll see that black shape isn't actually so good. So if white just captures here, then black has a bit of a shape issue. If black were to play somewhere else, then white can just take the whole corner, and black's shape is totally messed up. So black's probably going to add a move here to take the corner. But now white can tanuki away, because these stones here are very safe, and these two stones here are actually pretty flexible. If we just Hane here, black basically has to block, or else this will be Sente and everything will be gone. So black will have to, block here, and then white can get this very nice net here. And the idea being that white can't push through because that's going to be Atari, and then black can fix his shape somehow. Possibly even this, or this. So just to review that one more time, it's attachment, Hane, and then this double Hane. And if black Ataris out this way, white can really mess up his shape with this capture, and then this Hane. But white instead chose to play in the upper left, which is fine. I just think it's more urgent here. This move, I think, is all right. I would prefer just to take a big move like here in the bottom right or something like that, but I think this one is still good. And so here, sort of like I was talking before, I would still recommend this attachment. I think this will be the best for white. But this approach here is still the right idea. And so black should have a good attack going on this group, but I think there were some mistakes here. So first, for white's sake, when someone attaches, you almost always want to Hane like this. It's just a lot better shape. And like this, there's still Aji to push through here. You probably can't right now because there's a cutting point, unless you want to just sacrifice the stones and play really low like this. But it leaves good in cutting Aji. And white could even try something like this to try fixing his cutting point and making shape. But instead, if you play this way, then you're kind of stuck on the third line. This is okay. So I think black needed to play a little bit more solidly, because there's just, as we saw in the game, too many cutting points, especially if white just pushes out like this. So instead, instead, what if black just connects solidly here? Then the corner will be safe, and white is still not totally alive. White would have to either make shape this way, or later just try to live with something like this. But this would be a more solid shape for black. So white had a good idea to push through, but instead of this clamp, I think we would just prefer to Atari here and just shatter black's shape this way. We can see that white is totally out and black's shapes are all chopped up. And even if black connects, white can easily just take a stone. And so black did a good job of fixing his shape by connecting here. And the same thing here, I would still follow up because this shape is very urgent. What if instead, next, black just Hanes here? This white group is in big trouble. Just like this, I think this white group will probably die. So black had a good chance to kill this group, just with this Hane here to trap white in. So for that reason, white can't afford to play away. White needs another move. And this move is pretty valuable too, because if black plays here, then white can play this Kema and really start to wreck black's side here. So I think white should definitely have played that, and black should have followed up with this move instead of this wedge, because as we saw, this wedge gives white a chance to kind of fix his shape. So this Hane is good. But after that, when we have these three stones that I will mark here, 1, 2, 3, and we hane, we almost always then want to double hane like this. This is the strongest way to play with this shape. And white has a lot of cutting points here, all these triangled points. So it's going to be hard for white to fix his shape. If he kind of takes the bait to capture this stone here, then black can cut and then capture the 3 stones that way, and actually capture all of these stones. So this would be great for black. So for that reason, when black double hanes, white can't even take the stone. White just has to calmly connect, and then black can connect. And we can see that this is much better for black than what happened in the game. White would be totally shut in here, and black would have a very thick outside. So I think black should have played the double hane here. So yeah, this placement is a good idea, but as we saw in the game, white can just fix his shape. And yeah, instead of this, I think black should just extend here. It's still an okay result for black, because white's still pretty low and black is thick on the outside. But black lost sente here, and then white was able to come out with this Atari. So at this point, I think this game is quite good for white, because this invasion has been very successful for white. White has made some territory and is threatening to capture a stone and has totally broken into black's territory here. So I actually don't think that black needs to protect here. Black can just play, for example, here. We can see that this cut just doesn't work. So there's no reason for black to be worried. Black should just connect here. And so white captures and has this very strong Ponuki shape facing towards the center. So at this point, black was trying to use these stones to hopefully attack these white stones. But instead of this kosumi, we should just extend here. It's better shape. This kosumi is more of like a special case move. Like maybe if this stone would have some miai to threaten some other white stone, then this would be very, very good. But it's not. That's not the case here, so we should just extend. I think it's a little bit better just to descend here, because with this hanging connection, white will just get this free Atari. So just 1 point for white here. White connected with this empty triangle, but it's a bit better shape just to play this bamboo joint here. So in most cases, we prefer this bamboo joint to this empty triangle shape. So at this point, black was trying to find some way to escape with this very heavy group here that doesn't have eyes yet. But we want to play a little bit more loosely. So instead of pushing here, how about just this kema? So if white just tries to cut like this, we can see that black is totally out. And this is much better than getting sealed in like black did in the game. White could also try to play here like this. But even if, if black just plays this way, I believe this should be fine, as long as these black stones on the outside cannot be captured. As we can see, there's just too many liberties here, so black will be totally out. So black doesn't have to fear about white playing here to sort of cut through the kema, but just can escape more lightly this way. But as we saw in the game, once black escapes or tries to escape with this push, then white just plays here and black is in trouble. So this is a good double hane for white. It's a good cut. We could maybe try playing here, but I assume black was afraid of losing the whole group like this. And I think black can still survive this way. And so this cut was good. Now see, if this A stone was at B instead, then there wouldn't be this free Atari here. So that's just a reason why the extension is usually better than the kosumi. But so white took this free Atari and then cut here, and then this is back to the situation I was discussing in the beginning of the review. So I think it's hard for black maybe to find this right move here. But it's very important to find one that's miai against both sides, since that's the only way to live. So as we saw in the game, black played this way, which is indeed sente against these two stones. But once white saved these, Black had no follow-up against these white stones at the bottom and had no way of living once white skillfully took away black's eye. And just to go over this one more time, if instead black had played this 1 point jump here, this would be the move to be sente against both A and B. So if white jumps out this way, then black can easily capture right here. And if white jumps out that way, then as long as black can find this hane here, which I think he'll be able to do, then there's no way for white to escape. And even if black is scared of all these cutting points, it's not a problem because white only has these 2 liberties. And even though these black stones are technically very close to being captured, and there's miai on both of them, white only has 2 liberties, and black can just take here. So in conclusion, black got into this trouble because of this play on the right side. I think the big chance for black was to play this double hane here. And white also earlier needed to extend here and not give black the chance to play this hane. So I think that's about it for this game. I hope this was helpful, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.